So me and bruh had hit the point of no return. Problem was, we had no idea we were headed for a collision course with all our enemies.
All right, sounds good. What's going on? Nigeria Chambers here from Big Gold Belt Media. Big Tank. What's up, my brother? How you feeling?
What's
We're
going
here
on
to
with you?
talk BMF Season 4, Returning to Stars, June 6th.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir. Yes, sir. How you
Exciting
feeling, man? How's
times.
the vibes?
Man, everything has been great, man. I'm in the studio right now. Just was in here cooking up earlier. And today's press day, you know what I'm saying? So I've been
Okay.
doing press today. Looking forward to talking to you guys about this amazing season.
Yeah, cooking up. You want to share what you're working on?
Man, y'all don't want to hear all that, man.
I
You know what
do
I'm
because
saying? All right, well, hit me after this and I'll play it for you for sure.
One thing about you, man, is really in a genre that's so near and dear to the culture. You're always going to provide the soundtrack to it. You're going to make sure that if there's one component of the production that's never going to be weak, it's going to be the music. Definitely want to give you a shout out for your work on BMF this season. But as a recent, I could talk about Dope Deep. I could talk about Raising Canaan. I mean, you're just in your bag, and it's really important because my first question to you is I recognize it as a fan. I recognize it as a critic that music isn't just always the backdrop. It's also the character at
It
times because
is.
it can move a particular scene from A to B. It can give a certain character so much more depth. It's really it's almost like an aesthetic to somebody. Like, yeah, you can rock the chain, you can have on the Gucci, whatever it may be. But like when you walking down that street and the music's bopping the way you're moving, the whole thing comes together. All the respect of
100%.
the character and everything, it flows.
100%.
Talk to me
Yeah,
about that in terms of making sure that that's important to you is that you're building characters through the music.
100%. I'm glad you noticed that, brother.
My man.
because it's super important to me. You like right song and the right scene matters, and every character's got their own vibe. So
Yeah.
you got to make sure that you give people what they would be listening to when they're in the car, when they're in the room, when they're doing, if they got headphones or playing, what I think they would be listening to and what I feel like that character will be listening to. And when you do it the right way, it
Yeah.
elevates the character. You know what I'm saying? I remember one time I was walking down the street and I put my phone in my pocket and I had this song play called Lucini, right? And it's an old school song by Camp Low. And my whole swag to my walk came a little bit harder because it was like that's my theme song. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? This is it. What the genie falling from the so it just made music makes you feel a certain way when I'm lifting weights or if I'm running or if I'm sad. I want to
Yeah.
hear certain things. So we want to really paint the picture with music. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I try to be an artist on my own side and use music to paint pictures.
Yeah. The word you didn't say, but if you read between the lines, you get it. But it's therapeutic, man. It gets you through those times. It gets you through those good moments. It gets you through those bad moments.
It
And
really
I think
does.
and honestly, the real talk, I listen to scores when I work out. It is that extra beat that you need to help you through those sets and so on. So,
That's
yeah.
that's different. I gotta hear what you're listening to.
Yeah,
You
hey,
know,
I'm trying to tell you, man, it definitely works.
I love it.
Um, Now in this season of BMF, we are really turning the chapter in terms of the story of these iconic brothers, and this is the part where we get introduced to them wanting to create a record label, which which you already know. So is that part one for you as a fan? I'm sure you're just like, oh, I know I got to get in my bag now because this is really matters. This is how we
Right,
show
I
that they
get
got
to.
yeah.
Like I look at it like I get to do it. Like, all right, cool. I get to be even more creative for real. Like that's that. I came to becoming a music supervisor from the production side.
Okay.
So as a producer, like I want to push buttons. I want to play keys. I want to scratch. I want to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
And as an executive, and a music supervisor, sometimes while you are being creative, you're not able to be creative on that way. But when they allow, when I'm reading the script and they're like, "Hey, we got a new artist," and I'm like, "Oh, let's get it, let's go," because I get to show a whole other thing now. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So that's always dope for me personally.
Yeah, and also part of the season also takes place into the really picking up on the bits and pieces of the events that happened in Mexico, which also has its own little unique sound, but also urban as well too. So how do you approach that?
You know what? That was a really tough. Well, I ain't gonna say tough. It was interesting because Spanish music or Latin music in '92, had a little bit different thing to it. So we had to really get into the instrumentation and make sure we were creating and recreating songs that really sounded like that time period there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So we're pulling songs from that time period that were like hits and album cuts
yeah,
and putting together a soundtrack for Mexico,
yeah,
so the editors could just take them, cut them in, and move forward with it. So this season on BMF, we're really jumping into a lot of different flavors, different locations. We hit some coast, we hit the middle of America, of course,
yep,
we hit Atlanta.
yep,
And Meech was such a big part of, even though he only had the one act, he was such a big part of what the culture was in Atlanta and the music scene in Atlanta. So I wanted to make sure that with his first artists and the people he was working with, that we really gave them stuff that was authentic for its time and the time and the location from what it was. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Because I'm be honest. You can't, especially last season, you can't sit here and do a backdrop of Magic City and it don't feel like you need to be in there, or you feel like you're in there by watching it. You know what
Yeah. Oh
I
man,
mean?
listen. It was a couple scenes. I was happy I was there. All right, let me stop. No, I had a good time. Like we had a good time, and whenever there's dance scenes and things like that, they always fly me in to make sure everything sounds good, looks good, and feels authentic.
Yeah.
So I get to be there for those scenes, and it's always a blast.
Yeah. And all due respect to the dancers, because they're gonna do what they're gonna do. But I imagine they looking right at you to say, like, if you don't get this right, we can't bring the authenticity of these moments to
That's
life. You know what I mean?
100%. I got to give the shout out to the choreographers because once I find the music, I'm giving it to them, and they
Yeah.
come up with stuff, and they're teaching these actors. This is the dance moves they were doing at that time. This is that. So by the time I get there, I'm really just overseeing it and checking it off. Like I like it. Let's go. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
shout out to the choreographers on all my shows. They do an outstanding job.
Yeah. I wonder too, because even as a music supervisor, but yet a producer in your own right,
Yeah.
how and as we know how producers work with artists, it is a sort of a catalog of here's what I got, what you kind of feeling, you working on that collaboration. Do
Yeah.
you have to have that same approach with these shows? Because when you have a show like Raising Canaan and when you have a show like BMF, where some of these songs you could imagine could be utilized on each of the respective shows. How do you sort of, and matter of fact, let me give a shout out to Ocean of Emperors Part 2. That man,
Oh,
man, man,
thank you,
man.
man.
Emperor's of Ocean Park, got it backwards, but yeah,
Yeah,
man,
so I knew
man.
what you were saying,
Yeah,
though.
yeah, yeah,
Nah, I
yeah, man.
appreciate it.
Grantham and Forrest, man, did their
Yes,
thing.
sir. Yes,
but
sir.
but but when you do have sort of a catalog of things and you're trying to place them, is it more or less that you're just trusted to make the right selection, or is there sort of a collaboration where they kind of want to decide a little bit in terms of what they feel is best, and that is obviously in the terms of the directors and showrunners.
For the most part, they trust me. You know what I mean? I'm never gonna put a song that was in BMF in Raising Canaan.
Right, right, right.
Even if the years overlap, because New York sounds different than Detroit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
great point. Great
so
point.
you got to know the differences though. As a music person or a producer or a music executive, you got to know the difference between why they were using these kicks and snares here and why they were using those types of sounds over there. And then once you do that, wait a second, let me tell that person no.
The
once
business is
but
booming, you know?
Hey man, always man, thank God. But once you do that, you're good.
Yeah.
So it's been not that we don't collaborate, because on BMF I collaborate with 50 and Heather, and on Kane I'm collaborating with Sasha and
Mhm.
50,
Yeah.
and we are a team, and I'm a
Yeah.
team with all my showrunners and with five, and we are definitely going over this stuff and making sure that everything sounds amazing. And You know, I work with one of the best musicians of all time and rappers of all time, and 50 Cent. And I've been fortunate, really fortunate, to have just creative ass showrunners that are so dope in their own right. So I've been lucky, bro.
Yeah. So what's next then? Because if I take a look at this, you have New York from Raising Canaan, you got Detroit, you got Atlanta, you can even go to Swagger and say you got DC there, you got the Shy.
Right, right, right.
Where do you want to tap into in terms of the culture and sound? Is Texas anywhere on this list?
Ooh, you know what? I don't have no Texas shows yet. That would be dope. I got some shit for Texas. I'm
Okay.
actually I'm actually doing a movie right now that is New Orleans based. So you're gonna hear bounce music. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Um uh, I
Don't get
just
in trouble.
booked no. I just booked A Different World with Debbie Allen. Um so that's
Oh, we up. Oh, we
it's
up.
gonna be HBCU heaven.
Let's
And I'm
go.
gonna go ham. I'm going ham
Yeah, that means
sandwich.
the horns and the brass.
Come
You
on
going
now.
crazy. Hey,
Come
let's
on
go,
now. I'm
man.
going ham sandwich on that joint.
Hey,
So
let's
and
go.
then I have a new podcast coming out called The Man Behind the Music, where we're going to be offering opportunities to artists from all over the world to send us music, and we're going to put them on these shows and help and grow and bring as many people as we can into this space, because a lot of people don't get to meet you, they don't get to meet me. So
Yeah,
this is an opportunity for them to be able to really send in music, get it broken down by myself and
yeah.
Rockweiler and Denon, and looking forward to doing that too. So 2025, 26 is about to go up. I'm happy.
Hey man, I know everybody call you Big Tank, but that's Big Bank Tank, y'all. Don't get it twisted.
Here you go. Well, listen, June 6th, this is what I can tell you for sure. BMF, June 6th. This, in my opinion, might be our best season.
I've seen half of it. I might agree.
You know
I
what I'm
might agree.
saying? Like it's
It feels
so
special,
good.
real special.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Beat Mickey coming back and Lamar coming back.
yeah.
Man, listen, I'm telling you, this season, just stay tuned. I can't wait to see what people say.
All right. I appreciate your time today, brother. As he said, BMS Season 4 returns to Starz June 6th. It's been a pleasure. I catch you on the next one, my guy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.